Hey, I'm Laura and welcome to Muse and Schmooze. I'm going to show you a really easy way to jazz up any old wine glass. We are going to use a technique that is called decoupage. We're going to start with a plain wine glass and we're actually going to coat the bottom of it. And when you flip it, you get this really neat abstract kind of grape thing going on. And then if you reference my other video where we did etching cream and nail polish decorations, you can also decorate and embellish the top of it. To make these grapes, I need two things. I need circular pieces of tissue paper and little square pieces of tissue paper. And I'm gonna cut some strips. Then I'm gonna cut some little squares, rectangles, whatever, it doesn't matter. We're gonna cut them out after also. And then I'm gonna pile all of those on top of each other. So I got a nice, neat little pile of tissue paper. And then I'm just gonna cut a circle. Now, again, it doesn't really matter if it's a perfect circle. I just like the idea of making little grapes. And then I also need some leaves. So I'm gonna take some green and some blue, and I'm gonna do the same kind of thing, where I'm gonna cut a strip. This time I'm making it a little bit bigger because I want the leaves to be bigger than the grapes. And I'm gonna cut some little squares. Again, doesn't matter what size or shape they really are, as long as you can pile them up to make multiple leaves at once. And then cut out some leaves. I'm just gonna go flip around one side, hold them in my hand, pinch them all together so they don't fall apart as a stack. And I'm gonna flip to the other side. And voila, I have some little leaf shapes. So I have those in green already waiting for me in this cup. And then last but not least, if you look at this, I have the grapes, I have the leaves, and then I made some rectangles of yellow and orange to kind of just give a bright, light look. I have a cup of shapes ready to go. I have some Mod Podge. I have my glass and a brush. And I'm gonna start by slathering a little Mod Podge onto the glass. Now, I'm gonna start with the grapes because I want those to be the most prominent things. So I'm just gonna give myself a bunch of Mod Podge here. It doesn't really matter how far out it goes. The whole thing's gonna get covered eventually. I just wanna start somewhere. And then I'm gonna go into my little cup and I'm gonna fish out some of my grapes. And now I'm gonna start layering them on my glass. And I just wanna start at the edge so I can work my way out so it looks like a bunch of grapes. And I'm gonna work until all of my Mod Podge on this side is covered. There's the beginning of my pile of grapes. So I'm gonna redip my brush and my Mod Podge, and I'm just gonna gently coat over them once just to seal them in there, make sure that they're all coated. And then I'm gonna do another little layer of grapes. And I like that it'll darken it up that way. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing, just another layer. You can overlap them completely, you can make them go anywhere you want. It's your choice. Now I am gonna go to some leaves. So I'm gonna give the top half some nice green and blue leaves. So I'm gonna coat my grapes one more time to seal them in and let that dry while I'm working on the leaves. So I'm gonna put a little more Mod Podge there. And because I want the leaves to look green primarily, I'm gonna lay the green down first. The blue as a layering effect with the tissue paper will give a really cool look. I also wanna make sure I go to the edge of the glass because anywhere that you don't have tissue paper will show clear. I have my green, I got my purple. I'm gonna take some of these red guys and just kind of sporadically place them so that when you look from the other side, it'll give a darker look. And then it'll almost look like you have some red or dark purple grapes kind of hiding out in the bunch. And because I've pre-cut these, it's really quick, you can see. The hardest part is just cutting enough to make sure that you are ready to go. So I'm just gonna cover that whole shebang so that it's all sealed in there nicely. And I'm gonna start layering in the yellow. And then use the orange as an overlay. So whichever color you put down first with the tissue paper is really the primary color. And then you can create shadows and highlights by using other colors. The bottom of my glass is close to dry, and I can tell because it starts out white and it becomes clear when it's dry. So it's close, it needs a few more minutes, but in those minutes, now that my decoupage part is done, I'm gonna go to the resin. And the resin is a trick that not everyone uses, but it's really nice because it waterproofs it. So I'm gonna use a 2-part jeweler's grade resin. It's extremely clear. It's very important that you measure and mix it just right because it will never harden if you get different proportions. key with the resin is that it will pool on purpose. So in the case of this glass, it's gonna all flow to the middle. So what I like to do is kind of drizzle it around the edge and let it flow. I'm gonna swirl it around. It's a little bit like honey. So now I'm gonna pick up the glass and I'm gonna use the popsicle stick to just work it around. And I wanna get all the way to the edges because that's how you're gonna waterproof it.